Right, hello, welcome back to BJG Reptiles. This is Blue, and I'm Brandon, and today we're going to be going over the top 5 best pet geckos. So, spoiler alert, he's number 1. He is an awesome animal. He might not last the full video, because sometimes he gets a little bit flighty, but he's here for the time being. So at number 5 is a day gecko. Now, morning geckos are very close to being here due to their ability to cohab, but I just think day geckos kind of out morning geckos in patterns and colours. The reason they're not higher up on the list is simply because of their high maintenance. They don't like still water, their skin tears, so they're not a handleable animal, and they are mainly a display animal, unlike leopard geckos. Yeah, so that puts them at number 5. There's not much else to say about them. They're pretty cool animals. But yeah, they're not handleable animals, and as you can see, Blue does not want to be out right now. There you go. So we're not going to be fighting with him for the rest of the video. He is. I'll close his vid just in case. Blue is only a young leopard gecko, so sometimes he gets a little bit flighted there. He actually saw my hamster move, which is why he jumped there. He's a bit of a weirdo. But yeah, at number 4 is my personal favourite, which is viper geckos. Now, viper geckos are terrestrial, even though they look like they could be arboreal animals. Yet they can climb, and they are very good at climbing. This is because of these tiny little claws they have on their toes, I guess. And yeah, they can climb very well. But again, these are another animal that are highly recommended in the hobby to be display animals. This is due to the size, because they only get to about 3-4 inches large max growth, which is not very big. You saw the Blue there, he's not a fully grown leopard gecko, and it's smaller than that. So yeah, basically the reason they're not higher up on the list is because of how small they are. At number 3 is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated geckos in the hobby, which is the African fat-tailed gecko. Now, these are very similar to leopard geckos, but they're not quite as good as leopard geckos in captivity. This is just because of the requirements that they need. They need a higher humidity but a lower temperature, which can be a bit of a pain to do. However, they are terrestrial like leopard geckos, and they even look a little bit like leopard geckos. I don't have any in the collection, but I would love to have one in the future. But yeah, that puts them at number 3. I think arguably if you get everything correctly and you know how to look after them, they could be leopard geckos. But that leads on to number 2, which is New Caledonian geckos. So this is a group of geckos. Crested geckos, gargoyle geckos, Leachianus and Chihuahua geckos. They all have very similar requirements, but they're all different sizes, patterns, colours. Crested geckos are the ones that do the best in captivity. They are more generations away from being wild caught, so they're a little bit more placid, a little bit more tamed out. They're not domesticated, they are still, you know, reptiles, but they're pretty close. Now, these are all arboreal species, so that to me means that they have probably less space than a leopard gecko needs for a viv. You can do like 45 by 45 by 45s for cresties. I'm not sure about the other 3. I imagine it's probably a little bit bigger because they do get a bit bigger. But yeah, other than that, they have relatively similar care to leopard geckos, in the sense that they are easy to look after. Maybe not the similar care, that's bad worded. They obviously need like the Pangea food, and I believe they can have insects, but mainly that's their diet. But in my opinion, they are a little bit less personable than leopard geckos, which is why they don't take the number 1 spot. And yeah, at number 1, like I've said before, is leopard geckos by a long shot. They are beautiful animals. They are very personable. They actually have sort of personality. You saw Blue there. Whenever I've got the tongs out, whether I'm actually feeding my snakes or them, he's up at the glass, he's waiting for me, he's just staring at me, waiting for some food. Now, I wouldn't say he loves being handled, because you don't really know if they even feel emotion, but he definitely tolerates it, and he definitely shows some instincts of wanting to do it, because he does actually come out onto my hand without me having to reach into the viv, which is quite cool. But yeah, they also come in a variety of morphs, so they come in different colours, different patterns. and they are very, very stunning animals. There are some morphs, I can't remember off the top of my head, that you should stay away from because they come with neurological issues sometimes, and it's not great. It's like the spider morph in ball pythons, you just want to stay away from it if you're having a pet with them. But yeah, they're terrestrial, like I've said before, and also if you're looking for a first time animal and a cheap animal, wild type ones are gorgeous. They're still gorgeous, but they're just cheaper. But yeah, I think they're number one. They're just easy to look after. They require pretty dry humidity. The temperatures aren't super hot. The diet, however, is insects. They are insectivores, which means that if you're not willing to give them live insects, probably not the animal for you. But also, most geckos have to eat some sort of insect. So you know, if you're watching this video, you already know that. But yeah, in my opinion, number one is leopard geckos. Yeah, that's my top five. Please let me know your top five because I imagine some of them will differ. I know there's like dwarf turquoise geckos, which are very, very cool. Like I said, the morning geckos. I'm trying to think, there's a couple of others, just like the common gecko. There's like I can't remember what they are, they've got the big eyes. I think it might be frog-eyed geckos. They're very, very, very cool. There's obviously the leaf-tailed geckos, very cool animals as well. So yeah, let me know your top five. That was my top five. And that's it for this video. I shall see you next time. Goodbye.